Okay, cool. We're live and rolling. Colleen.
Oh, you want me to start? I thought I was muted.
Yeah, no. I was
Okay.
muting the background noise.
Hi, guys. Okay, so welcome to Accelerated Leadership. We are on week 8. The good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, let me take my glasses off for this one. So we are coming to you, and we're going to be as real as we can with you. Not that we usually aren't, because we really are. But we're going to keep it real deal tonight. Because we know that we all struggle in our businesses, and I feel like historically, after the holidays, it's kind of rough to begin with, right? And then you start feeling all sorts of things, and then everything in your life just seems to be like adding up and just like piling on top of you, right? Like even stuff at home, your business, everything is just like when it rains, it pours kind of stuff. So we really wanted to get into this with you guys tonight. Something that we have a few different topics as far as the subject goes. So something that I want to talk about is, let me see, taking time for yourself, okay? When you get to this point in your business, when you feel like you're super overwhelmed, it's really important. And I know that you guys, especially where you are right now as leaders, like ready, like marching towards director, right? I want you to know that we understand, number one, and I know that you guys are very eager and you feel like you need to achieve like the next promotion, like the next title, and director is like the ultimate. Like when you hit director, like you're there, like director. No, okay? Now, I know the stresses that you feel, me, Ashley, and Patty do. And it's really important, right, that you pace yourselves and that you really set time for yourselves at least once a week. Like you've got to do something for yourself at least once a week. Don't go for 3-4 weeks straight until you're burnt out and then you want to lose your mind, okay? Because then you have nothing left to give. You've got to have a good balance, right? So in order to do that, you've got to find something that you can kind of do on the side, take a time out and go do something that you can like fill your cup back up, right? Because at this point, you guys have teams. You're trying to grow bigger, wider, deeper. But you can't do that if you're giving everything that you have away. And then you're not going to be able to lead yourself, which we always say, right, is the best thing that you can do for your team is to run your own business, right? Pat, I know that I'm like speaking directly to you right now. I'm like, I've been listening to you. The best thing that you can do for yourself, I'm sure I'm speaking to all of you. I'm speaking to myself, okay? The best thing that you can do is really invest back into yourself. Take a time out, whatever it is, you guys. If you like to go get your nails done, and I know I have small kids too, and I know we all have kids, and you guys have jobs, and you know everything in life is stressful, but you have to. It is a priority to make sure that you're taking time for yourself, because if you are not whole, then how are you going to be able to give to your husband, your children, your team, your business? Because honestly, you guys, your business doesn't come number one in your life, nor should it. And I have to say that to myself over and over and over again. And that's the truth. And sometimes I'm like, I shouldn't be saying that. Like I just want to grow and grow and grow. And I mean, you guys know I'm pretty serious about my business, right? But at the end of the day, would I rather have my family? Would I rather have my sanity? Or would I rather have my business? I need my family more than I need my business, right? So you've got to find the good balance, okay? Taking, day after week after week, that will get to you, and it's hard to get back on the wagon. The balance, okay? Do something for yourself once a week, not once every month, because that's not enough. The balance is off there, okay? You've got to do something to keep you on board and to keep you sane and to keep you motivated. Take that breather, have a moment to yourself, fill your cup back up, and then get back after it, okay? Also, and we're all going to touch on a few different things, okay? Making sure that your family is on board with all of this. Now, I know Patty wants to talk about something specifically. What I want to say in regard to that is, some people have small kids, and when we have to go out to do parties, when we have to leave the house, when we have to do events, whatever we have to do with our business, right? When I first started, Mark would come home from work and he works like 2 jobs. He works in the union and then he comes home and he works all of his side jobs. And so I don't see him till later on. And he'd walk through the door and I'm like, I gotta go. And he's like, where are you going? I'm like, I have a party. It's on the calendar. And he's like, what calendar? Where's the calendar? Like, he doesn't even know what I'm talking about because I'm not even communicating with him. I'm thinking like, this is my business. Like, I gotta go. But it's not my business. Like, my business affects my family, right? And they need to be involved. All right. And I know, like, when you first start out, they may not even really fully understand the concept of it. Like, they really may not even see like the vision or the opportunity of what we have here. But that comes with time and incentive trips. But it comes with time, and they will start to see it. I promise you. Okay, they start to see how they see the hard work that you're putting in. When they see the results, when they see the progress, right? That will come with it. But we have to keep our families, ourselves, whoever we are with all the time, whoever's in our household, whoever it is, that's your person, right? You got to keep them in. And you got to talk to them and communicate with them, okay? Because a lot of times, and this is so honest, you guys, like, I'm telling you, this is like real deal honest Colleen here, okay? I am like, he can probably hear me too, for the longest time, and it's something that I work on minute by minute, I swear. I need to put my husband before I put my business. I always put, for a while, I was putting my business, my kids, and my husband. That's embarrassing, and I could cry. And that's not the way it should be. It should be my husband and my kids, my business. And I suffered for a long time because of that. We're okay. We're fine. We're never not going to be, in a bad place, but it hurts that I did that. And now that I realize, I know how bad that is. I don't want to see you guys go through that. And we've been told this by Kristen and Chloe and Jen, and they all tell us. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll here. I got my parties. My PRV is through the roof. I got teenies joining. I'm not stopping. Okay. I'll sleep when I'm dead. No. It does take a toll. Trust me. Please. Okay. It's only going to benefit you in your family if you take time for yourself. Okay, you will be a better business owner if you take time away for yourself and your family. You have to take time for yourself at least once a week, but every day, daily, you need to put your family first. And that doesn't mean not working your business. This isn't me saying this to give you a crutch to like, oh, I'm not working my business because you told me to be with my family more. Clearly, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? And I don't even need to get into that. We're all adults here. But if you want longevity out of this business, you've got to be able to pour into your family. Let them pour into you. We just got on a leadership call with Kristen and Chloe, and she opened it up and told us what to expect. And she said, if you're not whole, if you're not right in your life, everything outside your business isn't going to be right. And she's right. She was like literally on point. She was like and I saw Patty doing it too, but I was literally wiping tears away from my face. Like nonchalantly, I was like, because I was listening to her and crying because it's true. And if you're not there yet, you will be. So we're just telling you now that you really need to, sorry, my phone's going off, that you need to put your family first. Put yourself first, and you will be a better business owner, consultant, leader, mother, and wife for it. Okay? You guys want to add to that?
Yeah, I kind of want to. I'll kind of spin off of what Colleen was talking about, even though she just basically took my whole topic. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's literally because we're pretty much the same person and we go through these things together. So that's probably why we just bounce off each other like that with things. But before I get into that, what this call really, what we wanted to tell you guys, the good, the bad, the ugly, is not, I mean, yes, the stuff that has to do with your family is huge. Like, that's important. But it's also so much more than that. It's obviously that's a huge part of it, but from times when you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling stuck in your business, you're not getting parties booked, you're not recruiting, your team is draining you, you have people that you're working with and just not feeling like you're never getting through to them. You feel like you're talking to a brick wall. Like, there's so many things in your business that can literally make you feel like giving up. And so that is kind of what we wanted to, like, not make this a negative thing and talk about all the bad things, but just to let you know that all of these feelings that you probably have felt, if not feeling already, or will feel, will probably, at some point or another cross that point. Especially, for most of us on here, or pretty much all of us who grew quickly, right? You get to a point where you're used to things happening like we talked about last week, and all of a sudden, like, things aren't going the way that they were. And so then you start comparing and you're getting in your head and all these things. So, this business isn't lollipops and gumdrops, as I'm sure we can all agree to that already. Like, I think we already know that. But, I think that the family thing, like, your family being a priority is something that we don't talk about enough in Scentsy. And I think that we should, because, I mean, you guys, to be honest with you, while we're being honest, sorry, I'm getting messages also. While we're being honest, like, I can sit here and tell you, oh, you need to be with your families, you need to do this, but I do the same thing. Literally, like, I'm going to tell you what I just dealt with. Like, I literally was just arguing, he's probably going to hear me too, with my husband, because he was out at watching the game at his friend's house. And I asked him to be back here so I could get on this call. And of course, he's out, he's having fun. And, we just ended up arguing because he wasn't here on time. So things like that, like, I have to learn to step back and be like, well, you know what? I was just away for like a whole week in New Orleans, like, he's with my children all the time. He does let me come up here and do what I have to do for my Scentsy business. So I need to make sure I give that to him too. But I think that the most important thing, and this is also something that I need to work on myself. So just so you guys know, like, I'm not sitting here and I don't think Colleen or Ashley or any of us, like, we all go through these struggles too. So just because we're saying it doesn't mean we're fully already through it. These are things that we're living in the moment, and we can only tell you what we're experiencing or what we've already experienced. But I think that, like, communication, like Colleen was saying, is so important. And again, that's something that I myself have to work on more. Especially when you have conflicting schedules like that, like my husband, I mean, no matter what the schedule is, I think it's very important that you lay your schedules out on the table. I think, like, Sunday planning needs to be a thing. Whether it's on Wednesday you do that planning or it's on Tuesday, there needs to be a day where you sit down with your husband or your significant other and just, like, talk about your week coming up. What do you have going on? Like, for me, like, I would have to tell him, like, parties that I have coming up or calls like this that I'm getting on, things that are important. Maybe if I have to be out delivering orders, like, this is a job now to me. This is my job. And his job, I mean, I love Scentsy, and believe me, someday Scentsy's going to be the breadwinner of this family. But as of now, my husband's job is way more important than my job. And not that, like, my job isn't important, but I mean, clearly he has a pension and all that stuff. So I need to make sure that I am, giving that time to him too, and just communicating in general, because it can literally make or break your business. Like, I mean, if I even tell you guys the amount of arguments my husband and I have had over Scentsy, literally just today we were arguing over the fact that I'm spending too much money on Scentsy as opposed to making all the money. So it's a struggle. There's things constantly that are going to come up where you feel like your business is becoming a burden, and you don't want that. And on top of that, you don't want anybody to make you feel that way, but your husband and your family are important. So if it's coming up in conversation, it probably needs to be talked about. It needs to be talked about, like, why are we arguing about Scentsy? I don't know if you guys are or have or what, but I know I have. And I look at that as like a problem. Like, that should not be a problem. Scentsy's supposed to bless lives, not like, but, I think if you just let it go, when you ignore it and you just keep doing whatever, because like Colleen was saying, we are hustlers, right? Our PR people, we got parties and all this other stuff. And so, and it's fun and it's enjoyable. And for most of us, Scentsy's like an outlet. So it's like our thing. I know for me, I enjoy my time that I get to do my Scentsy things. When my husband's great, he takes the kids for me. And then that's kind of like my mommy time away, is doing Scentsy things, and I enjoy it. But it also can be a hinder, if I'm dedicating all this time and not really keeping my husband in mind, then, that's where things like that come into play. Now, of course, that's just your family and stuff like that. But there's going to be so many things that in your business, whether now or in a year or in a month or whatever, or later on down the line, where you just feel like, am I doing the right thing? What more could I do? Like, I don't understand. And I just think that that's something that we don't talk about enough, because it is a type of thing that, can make you want to feel like giving up. I've probably wanted to stop doing Scentsy, like, I can't even count how many times now. I mean, I would never stop, but those thoughts have crossed my mind because, like I said, it is stressful, So, Ashley, do you have anything to add to that before we move on? Oh, she said 1 minute.
Patty,
Hmm.
mute everybody, and then Ashley will unmute herself because there's a lot of background noise.
Okay, sorry. Hector just got home with the kids, so it's a little noisy over there.
Hence our, our topic of what we're talking about.
Yeah. So he went to go watch the football game after ball practice with my brother-in-law, which is fine. He took all the kids. He took all of them over there, which is fine. I'm going to touch on a couple of different things. Yes, family and finding time for yourself is super important. Hold on just a second. So I'm going to talk a little bit about things that you probably will experience at one point or another, just as a business owner in general. I'm sure you've heard us refer to it as the dip. I'm going to talk to you about how you are probably going to face some things at some point in time where you feel like you're just not worth it, that you're not a good enough leader, that life just sucks, and what else can you do? Okay. When I promoted to director, well, I mean, things happen for all of us rather quickly. Pat, you might already be feeling some sort of way. But when I promoted, we all led together over on Radiant Rockstars, Jennifer Anderson's page. But I never had my own team page for more than like a week. And then they were like, nope, we're going to lead together. Like, okay. So I never knew what my leadership style was. And we did that for, I don't know how long was it, Patty, like several months. We were all together. And one day it was just like, okay, you're on your own. And I had no idea what I was doing. I had so many people that, Jen and Kristen are like the best ever, and they were super attached to them, and now they had to come to me, and there was a lot of controversy, which made me feel like I wasn't good enough. So I felt like I had to start all over and kind of find myself. And it wasn't until I went to director boot camp let's see, about 6 months after I promoted to director, and I realized that I had been doing it all wrong. I was not putting Ashley's business first. All of my focus was on our team. Like every bit of my energy I put into our team. My business was second, in the business realm, and I still felt like I was getting nowhere. And I was like, man, what have I been doing? I was not making sure that I was taken care of. How we tell you guys to front load your calendar, make sure that your business is good, then pour into your team. I wasn't making time for my family. I wasn't making time for myself. It was, how can I help our team? What can I do more? How can I be a better leader? All about that, nothing about me. And I very quickly got burnt out. I very quickly realized that I couldn't do it all. And it was a constant struggle because I saw such potential in every person and they didn't want it like I wanted it for them. And that's still a struggle. I'm sure you feel that on a daily basis. Like, man, if they just realize what they had right in front of them, but you can't. You can't do that, guys. You've got to take care of you, and you just work with those who want it. Work with those who are putting forth effort, and know that it's no reflection of who you are as a leader, and just move on. I have recently been through a season that sucked. And for a long time, I was just like trying to figure out how I could have fixed it, or what was it that I did wrong, or is there anything that I could have done to avoid it, kind of thing. And it all boiled down to I wasn't whole. I was trying to fit pieces that weren't even a part of the puzzle, when it all came down to the fact that it was me. I was not whole. I wasn't whole spiritually. I wasn't whole emotionally. I struggle with anxiety and depression, and around about the holiday season, I get really, really depressed because if you know me and my story, you know that I lost my dad almost 3 years ago. So it's a real struggle. And financially, my family and I were in a really, really bad place. And I fought it for a really long time because Scentsy was my full-time job for about a year. And I had to go back to work full-time. I was that person that thought, well, what are others going to think about me? This was my full-time job. Now I've got to go back to work. They're going to think that I'm not successful. My team's going to think that I'm quitting on them, or they're not important. They're going to think I'm a failure, blah, blah, blah. All this crap that the enemy just tries to throw into your head to make you feel like you're not worthy. It's BS. BS. Does anybody think different of me because I'm working full-time as a nurse? No. Does it change the fact that I'm a business owner and still work my business? No. Does it change the fact that Scentsy is now a supplemental income and able to afford our family luxuries that we wouldn't have had otherwise? Yes, that's happening. I don't have to worry about renovating my house now because Scentsy can pay for that. Or family vacation, Scentsy can pay for that. And I don't have to worry about where the money's going to come from for my bills because we couldn't pay our bills. This is going to be on YouTube. I don't care. I haven't told my team. They know I was in a bad spot. But Scentsy just helped save my house this past week because I couldn't afford to pay my mortgage without my full-time job because my business hit a dip. That was not my fault. It happens. Life happens. but it's not a reflection of who you are as a person. It's not to bring you down. It's okay to be stuck, guys, but you can't stay there. You can't stay there. You got to figure out, okay, what's going on? Look at yourself first and figure out what the deal is and fix that, and everything else is going to fall into place. I told my team the other day, we started going to a new church the first of the year, and that very first sermon, we've been back every Sunday since, but he was talking about 2018, and the number 8 symbolizes new beginnings. I firmly believe that this year I'm claiming it over my life and in my business, complete and abundant blessings, life without any lack, like it's happening. But I'm making sure I'm taking care of me first. I'm making sure that God's first and my family, then my business. And everything else is going to fall into place. So if you're finding yourself stuck in life, in your business, you know that it's not always going to be that way. Did I ever think that I would be this close, y'all, this close to losing my house? No. I'm very prideful. I'm a very prideful person. I think Colleen would know this probably better than anybody. I'm very prideful. And, you know, when you face things like that in life, you kind of hit a phase of denial. I know I'm not the only one that's ever struggled financially. Never thought it would have been that bad. But it's okay. I know that I'm not going back there ever again. Ever. I'm speaking that into existence right now. I'm claiming it, believing it, receiving it. Here's my blood. We can write it on the wall, whatever. I'm not going back to that. And if it takes everything that I've got, every bit of energy that I have, every ounce of determination and motivation, Scentsy's my ticket to get there. It's your ticket to get wherever you want in your business. So whatever it is that you're struggling with, we all have struggles. You may be like me. You may be very prideful and very private, and when you're going through things, you just shut the whole world out. But I want you to know that you have somewhere that you can go to. You have people that you can talk to. You have people that love you, and I don't want you to ever feel like there's nowhere to turn and that there's no way out, because there is. If you had told me that the week before Christmas, when my world started to tumble down all around me, I probably wouldn't have been saying these things. But it's okay. You're worth it. Your business is worth it. You can get through it. If I can get through it, anybody can get through it.
I want to say
now that I've told my life story.
I love that, Ashley. You just took us all to church. You know, and I think too, like, I mean, I know for me, like, I'm so ride or die in my business where I'm like, I go to all events, obviously, you know, things like that. And Ashley, if you don't mind me, I don't think you mind because you literally just shared your story with us, but like, you weren't at leadership this past year, obviously, with your story with it, and that's completely fine. And I think sometimes we put that pressure on ourselves, not saying, like, you know, things like that in your business obviously are important, right? But I think, I don't know about you, Ashley, but I feel like if I was in a situation like that, it would weigh very heavy on me to be like, you know, oh my God, I'm going to be like, it's fear of missing out kind of thing. What am I going to miss if I'm not there?
I couldn't go to Summit, and I couldn't go to leadership, and I have never missed an event, ever.
And you know what? That's fine. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be times where you're going to have to make decisions like that. I mean, I think from a leadership standpoint with your team, as long as, you know, if you're eventually being consistent in your business where you're doing things like that, like, your team's not going to look to you and be like, oh, she didn't go to reunion this year.
Right.
You know, I mean, obviously it all trickles down eventually, but you know, you're also your family and your personal life and all that stuff is so much more important in the grand scheme of things. And so sometimes you have to make decisions like that, and that's fine. And you know, but I just wanted to point out, like, it's easy to get like hung up on that, because I feel like I would too, especially for us worker bees who are like so involved in our businesses, you know. But I think no matter what, there's always going to be, we said it last week, hills and valleys in your business, I like to call them. And just like, it's always going to be this like emotional roller coaster of really great times and then just times that are not so great. And you're going to find yourself questioning yourself at times, or is it worth it? Especially when you're not really like at that point where you could just like live off Scentsy forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. You know, it's way more easy to give up than it is to stick through, especially when you're going through these tougher times. You know, there's so many, like, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, there's so many like downsides to being a business owner. You know, just in general with like, especially being a leader, like leading a team and having people look to you for guidance and feeling like you need to, like Ashley was saying, she was putting her team before everything. I did that. I still do that at times, you guys. Like, what do I do when I wake up? I go on, oh, Real Consultants of Wax Slinger. Let me find a motivational quote to put up today. That's not freaking important. I mean, don't get me wrong. I am also working my business too, but like, it's so easy to feel like we need to cater to people all the time. When Ashley said yourself and your personal life and you as a person and you as a mom and you as a wife, your family, all that, your business needs to come before anybody. And just like Colleen said, and you can't fill anybody's cup unless your cup is filled on its own. So, you know, I think the message is pretty consistent all around with that. But I mean, even for me, you guys, like I said, I'm being real honest. These are things that I still have to work on every day. And I don't know if that'll ever change, because I don't know, like, sometimes I know there are things that have to change. And then I'm like, I also think a lot of it's my personality. Like, a lot of it is like, I don't know how to turn things off sometimes as much as I know, like, I know I should. And then I just continue repeating old behaviors. And that is the hardest part, is changing the behavior of whatever, you know, whatever it is. So I don't know.
Okay, I want to talk, please. So with this, right, giving your team, and especially you're just starting out, you're marching towards director, you want to give everything to your team because you want to see your team receive that information and flourish, right? You want them to do exactly what you did in that time frame and go. And we know that's not going to happen. So like Patty said, right? And Ashley, actually, one of you said it, but I know we've all said it at different times, right? You need to work with the people that want it, okay? And Ashley always said that, always stuck with me, you change the people or you change the people, okay? You change the people or you change the people. None of us ever, forever and ever and ever will be at a point where we can stop building and recruiting. So we know that we need to build number one, which is just like a little plug in there. Everybody recruit. But setting business hours, you guys, and it's not too early to do this. You don't have to be a director to do this, okay? We should have done this a long time ago, because we did it when we got to the point where we were going to like delete our team page. And then I was like, I need business hours. Because you get to the point where you want to please everybody, right? And you find yourself answering emails and text messages at 11:30 at night, at 5 in the morning. And I'm like laying in bed with one eye open, and I'm like responding to somebody. Why am I doing that? You guys, don't ever do that. They can wait, okay? We need business hours. And I'm not saying business hours like from 6 in the morning till 8 at night. That's not realistic. Okay? That's not realistic. Kristen was saying, my business hours are from like 8 a.m. till, she said, like 2 or 3 p.m. Because once I get my kids from school, at that point, then I'm making dinner. I'm spending time with them. Grayson's home. And then we spend time as a family. But like with us growing teams, we're like, ooh, 2, 3 o'clock. That seems kind of early, doesn't it? Like, I'd be like, oh, I don't know. Like, it would be hard for me to not respond to my team. You know what I'm saying? But we have to do that. And we have to think about what's best for our family. Okay? Maybe she shuts her phone off at 2 o'clock. Maybe somebody else shuts their phone off at 1 o'clock. Because that's what works for them, okay? You need to figure out what works best for you and your schedule and your family and your personal life and filling into you in order for you to be the best leader and consultant. Please make business hours for yourself and please stick to them, okay? You have to do that. And that's only in turn going to build more self-sufficient consultants, all right? If they need the answer to something, which leads me into the 24-hour rule, all right? I never knew this until I met Patty. And then I all of a sudden was paying attention to what everybody was saying, and they were like, don't you do the 24-hour rule? And I was like, what is that? Number one, I'll see a text message or I'll see an email or something, and sometimes the answer is so easily found that I know they didn't even go looking for the answer, okay? That they're just instantly like, Colleen's going to give me the answer because I always do. So I'm just going to text Colleen. It's literally quicker than looking it up because I'm going to respond in a half a second and you're good to go. You're on your merry way. No, that's not helping them at all. We're actually harming ourselves and their business. So we need to be able to not respond right away. Let them figure it out because they can go search the answers. Right? There are tools and resources everywhere for them to figure it out.
And that's also like, just to what she was saying, like when you have people or when you're responding to people 24/7 like that, like without a set time or whatever, not only are you causing it so that they're not becoming self-sufficient, but you're going to end up getting mad at them. And then you're going to show your frustration on them. And whether you're like, I mean, if you're anything like me, you're going to blow up on them. But, which is not the right thing to do. But I'm just saying, like, you're going to end up getting to a point where you shut off and then you're going to start ignoring them. And you don't want to do that because, again, you want to be an inspiration to your team. You want to be somebody who's going to be there for them. But they also, at the same time, have to understand that they are business owners and they have to learn these things on their own, which of course, I mean, weeks back, we talked about like training and getting them off to a good start. So all of that stuff comes into play, but don't ever feel like you need to be at anyone's beck and call. Like Colleen was saying, with the business hours, I can speak firsthand. This is something that I have tried to set over for myself over and over and over. And I never stick to it only because my husband, one, him and I have conflicting schedules. He works nights, I'm day. That's not even the big part. The problem is when he gets an arrest, because he's a cop, so he'll have overtime. And so he will literally, like, if he's at work, my schedule gets thrown off. Like, if he gets, overtime, then I can do it. And I'm sure that that's for many of your husbands, no matter what job they're doing, things happen. So, but your team, I think regardless needs to understand a time that they can contact you, one, and two, what they can contact you of. And they also need to understand the chain of command too, because you're going to have people going 3, 4, 5 generations down who will come to you because their sponsor is not present, or maybe their sponsor, like they're just not feeling a connection with their sponsor and they're liking the live videos you're doing on the team page. And so they come to you and are asking you like, all these questions that they can find out on their own, or that their sponsor should be asking also, or, guiding them towards also. So, I forget where I was going with that. I literally just spiraled and stole Colleen's spotlight. Look at her laughing. But, yeah, like you just can't, like, don't feel like you need to be at anybody's beck and call. Like, so I think with my team, they know, like for me, 3 o'clock, I shut off, like, not my business, because I mean, I don't really consider posting on Facebook working too much, but I mean, if my kids are like, Dylan will be playing the video game, Natalie's doing something, like if I'm on my phone, like I'll quickly post something, whatever, your team sees that and they start to think, oh, she's working her business, she's on Facebook, now's the time to message her, and it'll be like 8 o'clock at night. No, I don't answer stuff like that. They have to wait. So for my team, they know, and even the new consultants that I'm enrolling, I let them know 3 o'clock is like, you can, contact me anytime within 3 o'clock, and then if I don't get back to you within 24 hours, you could always, try and find the answer somewhere else or whatever. Well, I teach them to find the answer first. But ultimately, 3 o'clock, regardless if they're still messaging me past 3 o'clock, I don't respond, because it's not up to them to really remember that. You have to control your business hours. So for me at 3 o'clock, I don't respond back to team messages at all. Like after 3 o'clock, I pick up my stuff from school, and like Colleen said, with dinner and all that stuff, like that's more important. And honestly, that's something that I know for me, for sure, have to work on as far as like being on my phone. Like if you think that your phone is a hinder to you being around your kids or whatever, because I don't know about you guys, but like I said, my son will be playing the video game and Natalie will be playing in her room, and so I'm like, oh yeah, perfect time to go on Facebook. And next thing you know, my kids are like, hey mom, mommy, and then I'm like, what? And then I'm like, you know what? The reason why I'm flipping out is because, look at her laughing, but it's true. The reason why I'm flipping out, and I'm being so honest with you guys, is because I'm on my phone. That's why I'm flipping out. I need to give my time to my children, not on my phone on Facebook. These are real things that, I don't know about you guys, but these things happen to me on a daily basis because I'm a freaking squirrel, and my mind is all over the place, and I'm just like, I love my business, and so to me, when I'm like, oh, I have some downtime, I'll go on my phone. That needs to be, you know what? If I set my hours to 3 o'clock, that needs to go down. The phone needs to go down. That's where it is. So if you find yourself in things like that, see how you can change it, is my point. And don't ever feel like you need to be answering anybody's messages. It's fine. They can wait. If they haven't found a response to their message, if it's been like 24 hours and I may message them back and say, hey girl, did you ever, figure out what you were trying to do? More often they're going to say, oh yeah, I was able to act on a T page, or oh yeah, I called consultant support. And you're like, light bulb, like should have done that to begin with, But yeah, it's just a number of different things. So I literally just stole what you were saying, Colleen. I'm sorry.
No. This is the thing though. Like this is like an open forum, you guys. Okay. For like me, Ashley, and Patty, we're telling you through our experiences, and like we put all of this content together with all of these weeks because this is what we've experienced, and this is what we want you guys to be conscious of and work with, because we know. And like when this stuff happens to you guys, when you guys experience this stuff, if you're not doing it right now, you will, and it won't be the first or the last time. It's always going to happen, and you need to anticipate that. Like nothing in life is perfect. Nothing. Why would this be any different, right? It's always going to go like this forever. You need to learn how to deal with that and make sure that everything around you is good. So when this is down, those other things can help bring you back up, right? And if you're going through these things, don't shut down and pull back, okay? You can reach out to one of us. You can reach out to, I'm sure, your sponsor, your director, like one of us. Anybody, somebody that will know and understand, because we go through this too. Like this is not, when you're going through that, you may feel like alone and like embarrassed, or like, I'm not working my business. Like, how do I tell them that when they're trying to call me? But I'm not talking to anybody specifically. I'm just saying, I know, because you know what? I'm probably calling you because I'm doing the same thing. And I need you to like motivate me, and you don't even know it, right? We all go through it, you guys. We're all human. What do you think? Because we're a director that like, I don't know what you think, or if you even think this, but you know what? It doesn't matter where you are. Title means nothing. We all struggle. We are all women. We're all moms and wives and partners and whatever it is we are all that, and we struggle too. Okay. So just don't shut down, because that's when you start to let all of those things snowball in your mind until it's this big coming outside your head and you're vomiting it out everywhere and you don't know how to get back out of it, right? We all go through that, but make sure you tell somebody. Like, if I'm going through that, I know I can. I don't even get to that point really anymore, like really deep into it, because Patty would like knock it out of me before I even got there. But it happens. You need to be able to call somebody and say, like, okay, I'm losing it right now. You know what I mean? Like, you need somebody to do that with, you guys, because it's going to happen. And you may have those thoughts like, it would be easier to give up right now, especially because I'm not making $1 million a month like I want to. And it would be easier for me to walk away. But I'm never going to give up. I may have that thought for a split second, but I'm never going to give up, ever, 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 ever. I promise you that, right?
And I think it's important.
But it's hard.
I think it's important too to also be transparent with your team. So like when you are, you know, in these moments like this, I'm not saying you need to go and tell them your whole life story because, you know, regardless, you are still their leader. So you still need to put on a happy face, you know, but I think it's also important. And you also have to like bring light to whatever situation is going on. Because if you start getting on me like, guys, I'm just in a dip right now. I can't book parties. I can't do this stuff. And like, then that's going to feed off on your team, of course. But what we say is turn your mess into a message. I love that saying. Turn your mess into a message. So anytime I'm going through like a struggle in my business, I may go on and talk to my team about it just to be transparent, but I'll always flip it into a positive thing for them, you know, and say something like, you know, man, I'm having such trouble, you guys, this month, being super honest with you. I mean, this is just an example. If I go on and I'm like, you know, I've hit a wall, which honestly I did. Perfect example. All of December, I was going through like, you know, feeling like I was stuck in my business. I talked about it with you guys last week on the call. And then after that call, I was like, damn, I'm ready to be back in it. And of course I have to go into leadership and at that particular breakout session. So I made it a point to talk about it with my team. Okay. And I think that too, think about the struggles that you have, like, you know, because we all go through struggles. I'm not saying you have to pull anything out of thin air, but when you're going through those moments where you're feeling down, those are the times that you should be sharing things like that with your team. And like I said, I don't mean you need to go detail word for word of things that like share every little detail of your life story, but I'm saying turn your mess into a message. Use it as a way to teach your team something. So like I said, I did the video for my team and I was saying, you know, all of December and pretty much into January, I didn't have a focus of what 2018 would be. I'm being transparent with them. I'm telling them, hey, like, you know, I'm just like you. I don't really know what I want for my business for 2018 because I didn't, you know, but I went to leadership and I attended the breakout sessions and it ignited a fire in me. I also had a leadership call with you guys and literally reminded me that this is where I'm supposed to be. Like I legit, after that call last week, I got off and I called Colleen and I was like, oh my God, I just had an aha moment. Like my fire just reignited after being on the accelerated leadership call. And so things like that I share with my team. So use that as a way to be transparent with your team because they're going to relate to you more that way too. You know, don't feel like you need to bottle it in or not, you know, or feel like you need to lie to your team, even though you're going through a point where you're feeling stuck, but you're trying to tell them to move on and book parties and do all this. Meanwhile, on the back end, you're not, or you're feeling like, you know, some type of way. So I think that transparency is important. Turn your mess into a message. I love that saying.
There's definitely something beautiful in vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to be vulnerable, but it's just like the other day when I didn't share quite as much with our team as I did with you guys tonight.
I mean, you share a little bit more with your leaders than you do with your team.
Yeah.
I had talked to a couple of people earlier that day, and they were going through some of their own stuff in life, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to be real because somebody needs to hear it. You never know, even that your situation could be totally different than what somebody else is going through, but what you have to say might be the one thing that somebody needs to hear. Mm-hmm. In so many people's eyes, people that are part of your organization, like you're the leader, you've got it all together, life's just peachy, but you're human too. You have feelings too, you have struggles too, and when people can see that, and be like right there, raw, you're real, like you're a person. It makes you so much more relatable. And two, I think, spinning back a little bit, what you guys were talking about earlier, you know, as leaders, sometimes you really don't get a lot of recognition, which is fine. So I think whenever you make it a point to lift other leaders up and show appreciation and be a part of stuff like that, that's where you get that fulfillment. Like for me, I don't know about Patty and Colleen, like my love language is words of affirmation. So a way that I feel valued and like I'm doing something right, somebody say, hey man, high five. That was a great call. I really appreciated what you had to say. Your words really spoke to me. That's when I know, okay, yeah, I'm doing something right. This is what I'm supposed to do. You know what I mean? And that's how I felt after last week's call. Like right after we got off, we were voice texting each other, and it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had those couple of people reach out to me the other day, and I did the live video on our team page, like that spoke to them, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's what I needed to do. So
Actually, you're back on your A game, okay?
A game.
You're back on your A
I don't
game.
feel like
It's noticeable.
I think I might be on the B+ game. I don't feel like
Well, you're getting there though.
I'm not.
You're back. You're back.
I'm in the right direction. I am that one that Colleen was just talking about, that kind of don't call anybody. It's not a good thing. It's just how I've always been. I've always been like that. I'm just a very private person. There's very few people in this world that I trust. A couple of them are on here. And that's just, I've never had more than a few friends my entire life because I was hurt by my peers growing up. So I have a lot of trust issues. That's just my own demons I have to fight. But I really am a cool chick.
Yeah, you're back. I feel like this is our year. I do. I feel like, not because we're all on this call, but I really believe in every single one of you. I mean, I can look at every one of you and give you, shout out your accomplishments. Like, you all are here for a reason, and it's hard. I'm like, Andrea's sucking on a lollipop.
Is that a sugar daddy? Is that a sugar daddy?
Yeah. It must be a sugar daddy. It looks like.
I love those things. I haven't had those since junior high.
I know.
It's like a caramel apple pop.
Ooh, I like those.
So good. My nickname, Sugar.
But I feel like we're all, I feel like in general, I mean, I don't know some of you where you are, but I feel like with even some of you that are on other teams, I kind of know where you are generally. And I feel like we all kind of went down together, but we're all coming right back up. And I think before we end this call that we should really talk about right now how we're getting ourselves out of this dip right now. Just a few small things, because we were all like, when your family life stinks and when your team keeps texting you. But let's talk about just a few things, right? So how to fill your cup back up, okay? Number one, but on a positive note, it's literally setting team hours, setting business hours for yourself to keep yourself sane, to be able to fulfill your family life and yourself, okay? Setting business hours. Number two, doing something for yourself. Take something once a week, something special that's just for you, not for you and your husband, not for you and your kids, something for you, okay, that you enjoy, that will help fill you back up. Not something mindless that doesn't even matter, but something that fills you back up, okay? Even if it's a little bit. Do that once a week, you guys, all right? What else, you guys? When you feel like you're in a slump, talking to somebody, have somebody that you know and trust in this business that you can reach out to, or you feel like you have a connection with, because sometimes it just takes that initial reaching out to somebody and they'll be like, yeah, I understand. And then you build a connection. I mean, I had to reach out to Patty a few times, but I was like, listen, I know we're going to be friends. Just answer me. And she did. But
and it's all downhill after that.
Yeah, history. But you guys, listen, like, anybody on this phone call could call me and I would hear you out, right? Like, we're bonded. But you know in your own mind, in your own brain, in your heart, in your life, who you can reach out to when you're having these moments of doubt, or you need somebody to just pep talk you out of that and like, get back in it. You know, right? Who you can call. It's important. Don't harbor those things to yourself, okay? Don't do that. You really have to talk about it, get it out so you can move forward from it. Because it's always going to happen. It's never going away. This is always going to go like this forever. So when it goes down, make sure you know what you can do to get yourself back out of it before you get so far down that you're like crawling and clawing back out. All right? What do you guys have any ideas?
Like us, me and Ashley, or everybody?
Yeah. You, Ashley, anybody. I mean.
Does anybody want to share anything at all? I mean, you don't have to, but while we're on this subject.
Does anybody have anything on their mind? I mean, I'm not saying you do, but if you do, you can say
any input you want to
Ashley.
Any struggles you guys are facing? Anything you want to share, or just any comments at all?
I'm having trouble recruiting.
Okay.
If I had $1 for every time
I mean, I just don't know how to do it.
You don't know how to do it? Like, you just feel like you don't know what to say, or are you not
like
having?
I've had people reach out to me about it and ask me questions, and I've answered their questions, and they're like, oh, I'll think about it, and then like I don't hound them about it, and I'll go after maybe send them another message like 2 weeks later and be like, hey, you still thinking about it? Is there any more questions? I just don't know even who else to even reach out to.
It's recruiting. I mean, this is a whole nother topic, so we can't get into this because we'll literally be on here for another hour. But it's just something that just takes time, no matter what. I've literally recruited people, like when talking about them joining when I first joined over 2 years ago, and then finally 2 years later, that same person decided to join 2 years later. It's just something that takes time. If you're finding that the people that you're trying to, recruit and you're not getting that response, it's time to meet new people. It's time to start sharing the opportunity with more people. Really knuckle down and think about like your list of people. Offer the business opportunity to everybody, every host, every customer. What's the harm in asking them? I remember Colleen, the very first training she ever did on my page. Notice how I said our page? That's so funny. No, when Colleen and I first met, we met over a training. No, we asked if she asked if I could do a training on her page and vice versa. And she came on and literally spit fire to my team. And I was like, oh my God, this girl's awesome. Aside from like the million Facebook messages she sent me. But I'll never forget, she said that at her parties, that remember what you were saying, that like every person you check out, you say just for fun, like what on a scale from like 1 to 10, what would you say? What would you think about doing what I do? Doing something like this. She said that she asked every person that. And like, you'd be surprised just by that little question. Like I took that with me and I started doing that at my parties, and then, I started planting seeds, but that's a whole nother subject. I mean, it's just all about building relationships, planting seeds, being consistent, continually talking about the business opportunity, just all over the place. But I think
you'll find like your style of recruiting. You know what I mean? Like right now you're just trying to like grab it from anywhere and you're like, I don't know, just join. But you'll find your way.
Trainings or anything like that, Marnie? Because if you feel like you're struggling, I always tell my team, like, if you're struggling, you have to go ahead and start training yourself and like looking up different ways to do it. And maybe it's not even a Scentsy training. Honestly, I YouTube and Google so much. I look up other direct sales. There are so many like, I would never leave Scentsy, but I see like Unique Consultants, Lip Sense, like all these other consultants who are very successful. They have trainings on how they sponsor. If I'm seeing what they say, when you do what successful people do, you will become successful. So that's why I'm always following what works for other people. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be a Scentsy training. Of course, Scentsy trainings are great, or even your upline trainings are great, director, whoever, wherever you could get those golden nuggets. All sorts of training, I think, is beneficial, Like, do you look into, like, what's your...
I just lucked out. The 3 people I have on my team, legit just came to me and said, I'm going to join your team.
You know what? Most of the people who I've recruited have come to me also. So that means that you're doing something good because they're seeing what you're doing. You know, they're seeing the fact that you're loving Scentsy and you're enjoying it. So that's good too. But that doesn't mean that you have to just, you know, like you don't have to ask anybody. I think what you have to do is just get comfortable asking people.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And
That was my one
first,
goal
you know
for
what I did?
2018.
I should say for a while, not at first, but for a while, I would focus on like the same 10 to 20 people. And like Patty said, I have people that are just joining that I've been talking to for a long time. So if you're waiting on that, like you should be having like a constant flow come in, right? Or try to at least. I realized I need to be having the conversation a lot more. So for the past few months, I mean, I literally am talking about it with everybody. Like it's no holds barred. Like I figure out how they can fit it in their life. And I'm like, hey, listen, you know, like think of how it can help and enhance their life is how you're going to approach them with it. But say it to everybody because it's going to be the people that you never thought of that are like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? So you're going to work on the same people and it's going to be exhausting and you're not going to see the results or the progress that you want to see with working with the same people. So you got to be having it with everybody and then you're going to start to see the constant movement. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I'm always here if you ever need, and I'm not a guru on anything, right? Like I can't even get my own mind down right. So I'm not perfect in anything, but I'm always here to help and share with you. So please, like any of you, if you ever feel like any of us can help you, then ask us. That's what we're here for. Okay. Just as long as it's on my business hours. I'm just kidding. Obviously, anytime, really. Okay.
As long as it's in between my business hours and you're finding the answer on your own first. So.
With all this information that we've given you, figure out when you can call me. When the best time is.
When people call your people, we'll be good.
We're so ridiculous, you guys. Anybody else? Is everybody good? Or, I mean, I know that it's just a rough time of year. So I feel like it's good that we're just on here talking about it, being real about it, and that you know, like, you're not alone. And, okay, I'm conscious of these things, and I have to, like, be more conscious of doing these things moving forward, you know, so I can avoid these things. Things. So, I mean, I think that's it. I mean, unless you guys have anything. Patty, Ashley?
No, I was just going to say, maybe we could talk real quick about our homework challenge.
Okay, you can do that. Totally.
Gee, thanks, though.
Unless Ashley wants to give the homework.
Honestly, you guys, like I said, we go through points in our business where we're just so, like, come to, like, what do we do? So we actually not too prepared with homework tonight, but being on the call here tonight, I think that, you know, we talked about business hours. We talked about, you know, doing something for yourself and, like knowing things in your business, like your struggles that you're facing and how to change them. So maybe this week we could talk about, like setting a plan for that. Okay. Maybe try and set some business hours this week. Now I know this is going to be determined, you know, maybe you already have business hours, or maybe, you know, I don't want to push it on people, be like, get business hours right now. Like, it has to work for you and your family, of course. So, but if you find that you are struggling right now as far as the things that we talked about, maybe setting business hours would be a good time to do that. So maybe at least just look at your schedule and your husband's schedule, and try and come up with like a good, you know, business hours for yourself that works for you, and do something for yourself this week. I think that would be good, right? And then whatever struggles you're facing, if you want to be vulnerable and open enough to share it with us on our group page under the homework challenge, you know, obviously this is a safe place for you guys to do that. I want you to know that you can share anything here and you would never be judged, and we, you know, always here to cheer you on and, you know, listen to you when you need it most. But we also understand that some things are private. And so if you don't feel like sharing it, that's completely fine. But if you want to let us know, like steps that you're going to take to, you know, at least that you have it in your own head of things that you're going to be doing. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Ashley, Colleen, thoughts? Okay, cool. I get thumbs up. All right, awesome, guys. I hope that this was helpful to you. We love you all. Next week, we are going to be chatting about understanding your why. Because that's something that's going to drive you through the good, the bad, the ugly. Okay? We're going to talk about that all next week. All right, so we will talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.